Okay.
Welcome, welcome, folks. Grand Rising.
Grand Rising.
Here we are again. If it's morning for you, it's morning for me
It's morning for me too. Oh, yeah.
with my cup of joe, with my cup of mud.
Yeah. So you've done some traveling recently, and you've had a lot of conversations with people about sovereignty and about crystals.
Yes. And so Kenzie and I figured we would just do not an insane deep dive, but a surface deep dive to get people started about because exploring American state nationalism, exploring sovereignty via American state nationalism, can be a rabbit hole, and it can become overwhelming because of the paperwork
Yep.
and how much there is to learn about jurisdiction, who you
Right.
are, who you're not.
Mm-hmm.
Basically everybody that you thought you are, you're not.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what it means to embody your divine self as a man or woman created, you know, by the creator, that is a fractal of the creator, and that is a creator yourself, and what it means to stand on land and soil. So um we talked about when you visit the ASN website, which is what, Ken's what?
Tess. So, all right. First of all, I want to just say that I learned a little bit about sovereignty probably 30 years ago, and at the time it totally appealed to me. But when I went looking, I saw that there were about 87 pages that you had to fill out to declare, and that was too overwhelming. I totally put it aside. There was no way. Well, this time around when I returned, watched a video. I think it was Sarah Westall with Anna, and this was in 2021. And I was determined at that point. I was determined because of what was going on in the world with, all the COVID nonsense and the tyranny and all of that stuff that was so un-American. I knew I had to do it. So it didn't matter what it was. If it was still 87 pages, I was going to do it. But I was very relieved when I went to the TASA website and found that it actually was only a handful of papers. And so that was doable. So it's tasa.americanstatenationals, plural.org. That is the website where people can go. That is the website of the Federation. And in there, you can go and pull down the specific papers that you need to do to just declare yourself a state national. And it's actually a single page declaration, and you need two individuals, people that have known you for more than 7 years, that attest to you that you are who you say you are in front of a notary. And that's it. It's those three pieces of paper. And you can,
Those people would go with you to the notary to attest to who you are.
or they could go and print the paper and go, because they, you
Mhm.
fill it out first,
Mhm.
that I am who I am, and they are that, then they will take that piece of paper and go to a notary. Because when someone is signing a document, it doesn't matter what it is in any jurisdiction. If you are signing a document, you need to show that you are who you say you are, that is your signature or autograph, your attestation. And so that those papers are merely two people who are making it on the record that they say, I know Ingrid, and she is Ingrid, she is who she says she is, and I am who I say I am, and so my word is my bond, essentially. And so that can be done. You can, you know, your sister and brother print off two papers. You fill out your information at the top. They take it. They go off to their notary. A lot of times you find notaries at a bank, and then they can do that and then come back to you with the forms that are done. And then you take those two pieces of paper, and then you print your single one-page declaration, and then you notarize, you sign, you author, you autograph it. Sorry, all the language, I'm still, even after these years, still
And
getting
I
used to the
haven't been
proper
catching it.
language.
And I haven't been catching
Right,
it. I need
right.
more coffee.
I know. That's definitely what it is this morning. So it's really that simple. It's one piece of paper for you to sign, and you get two people that to take a piece of paper and sign that. That's
Okay,
it.
so
It's
the
not
paper that you're
complicated.
signing is called
It's called the Declaration under the 1779 Act. Let me just pull it up here. 1779 Declaration of Naturalization. That's what it's called. And what it basically does, I'm just going to sort of go over it. What it does is it reverses all presumptions that you are subject to that other jurisdiction. Because remember, we sort of talked about this, how back in the day when people were born, they were born on land and soil, and it was presumed that you were always a citizen, capital C, of land and soil and not of that other jurisdiction, unless you declared yourself that you wanted to be in that other jurisdiction. But all that got reversed. And so, through all of the acts of the corporate governments, the structure that has been in place for 160 something years, and they have been slowly creating these acts and statutes and so on and so forth, all their legislation that have slowly reversed the original flow of the presumption. And so now it's the presumption that all adults are in the jurisdiction of water, that all adults belong to the corporate jurisdiction. And so now you have to reverse those presumptions and take back your original birthright status by making your declaration. And so on this form, and it's a single page, and it indicates where you fill in where you the state you were born and the county that you where you currently live, and you put in the date, and then you print your hand printed signature, essentially. And the instructions are right on the website, and the form is right on the website.
your hand printed autograph.
Right.
And
And that's it. That's all you need to do. It's very, very simple. And so
then so what's done with that once that's done? What happens to that?
after you have executed all three, and
Mhm.
you've been in front of whether it's the assembly's recording secretary, or you are doing it in front of a at the bank, a notary public. You take those three pieces of paper, and then you record that on the public record so that it becomes part of the public record. And this goes back to, remember the old English tradition of posting the banns, and that would be where somebody would nail a piece of parchment where they wrote something onto a tree in the town square, and it had to be up there for 60 days or whatever the time frame was. It's that same process. You are posting your ban in the public record. However, here, because of, the technology and the age that we're in, it becomes a part of the permanent public record. And so this is your declaration, and that is it. That's all you need to do. Once you do that single form and you publish it, you have done all you need to do to participate as a sovereign. That essentially is you are declaring your sovereignty. And so what that does is that actually puts you technically in the place of where you can pick and choose which contracts you decide you want to accept or reject. And so without doing this, they have the presumption, and it is a legitimate presumption, even as wrong on so many levels. All of us recognize that, I think, and that's the conundrum that feeds into these, when people have this belief that I shouldn't have to do any paperwork. I shouldn't have to write anything down. Of course I'm a living man or woman. Well, yes, that's true. However, the presumption has been created for the years and the energy and the intentions of year after year after year, with the belief that is now part of the public consciousness. We
Mhm.
are all presumed to be in the other jurisdiction.
Yeah.
And
Which
so now that's why we have to reverse that.
and that's why we're working on doing things like if we decide to have an automobile and we want to travel around in our automobile. Right now we don't have Z plates that could help identify us. as American state nationals as a different jurisdiction. And
Mhm.
so, we may get pulled over. And depending on how well we can navigate that interaction with that other jurisdiction, most of the time we are handed back our credentials card and we are allowed to continue on our way um, unhindered. Um, but there are times when people get nervous or people get belligerent or people inadvertently begin answering questions and thereby stepping back into the other jurisdiction.
Yep.
And so there's a lot of intricacies once
Mhm.
you're in there, but to begin the process, it's super, simple.
It
And then
really is.
TASA website, the TASA dot blah blah blah.
Right.
That website, there is also a tab that helps you find your state, the state you are on,
Mhm.
um, to connect with your local state coordinator and your local American state nationals. Um, associated that are on land and soil on your state so that you can connect with them, begin meeting with them, ask questions of them, connect in terms of community, and begin moving forward. As well as I think I've shared that Anna does a Tuesday afternoon live with Needy, um, I believe of North Carolina.
Mhm.
And that website is what is that website? That website is the United States of America podcast. The United States of America podcast.
Okay. And also if you type in annavonrights.com, that will bring you to Paul Stramer's website, and you can access the
Oh yeah.
4,000 and something articles that Anna has been writing over the course of many years.
Yes,
And, Paul
Paul
Stramer.
Stramer, www.paulstramer.net. Paul Stramer is publishing Anna's articles.
Or you just type in annavonrights.com and that will bring you right to that page where all of her articles are indexed. And then you can just poke around. You can kind of go by the title in many cases and just take a look and see and start reading. And that's a really good place to educate yourself. It really is in one place, but I know a lot of people are used to videos these days. You can also find videos of Anna talking about, 'cause she does a Monday night video as well, and she
Yeah.
has been doing that for many years. But depending on which angle you prefer to get your, to learn.
So the Monday night video is for American State Nationals. The Tuesday afternoon video she does live on YouTube. Anybody can participate in those. Anybody can ask questions.
Mhm.
But it's once you're an American State National and you're recorded on land and soil, and the state coordinator has your contact information. That's how you are forwarded the live that Anna does on Monday nights for us.
Right. And so there is a lot of information, but it's a very simple process. And then from that point on, how much you want to participate in your state assembly is going to be dependent on you and what you want to do and what your goals are.
Correct.
Um, it's if you like us are of the kind of people where I'm committed to this and I want to be part of the rebuilding and I want to help to shape the refounding of what is no longer standing. I want to restand my state assembly. Then that's a that's a commitment, and it does require you to take on the role of protecting the assembly and protecting your fellow men and women that are part of the rebuild. Because remember, there are a lot of, especially in the de facto, a lot of forces that do not want us to succeed. The de facto does not want the checks and balances that was originally in place to reel them in when they go off the rails to be there. They absolutely don't want that. And it does that not make sense considering how much control they have taken? in
Right, so
every aspect of life. So of
so that's
course,
even one example, right? The names, the way that we refer to the different jurisdictions. Um,
yes,
the false government, the government that the incorporated
that
um
has usurped everything that it, but
is the de facto.
right. And they're not necessarily false. They're just not truly the government. They are our contractors, but because we have not we in the assemblies at the local and state levels have not been standing, have not been reeling them back in for years. It's essentially like,
Decades.
it's like all the managers went away from the company and the employees are running the show. And it has been that way for years and
The
years and
opposite,
years.
but
Right.
the opposite way. So the folks on land and soil that are standing on land and soil according to the original Bill of Rights, the original Constitution, are the de jure government.
Mhm.
Because it is we the people, and there's lots and lots of amazing shirts. There's lots of people right now gathering wearing we the people shirts,
Mhm.
which is lovely to see. It is
It
lovely to
is.
see. But I think it's really critical that we comprehend the different groups that are out there and what they're standing on. Because the reason that Ken's and I sort of are in support of folks becoming American state nationals is that once you're standing on land and soil, you have the protection of standing on land and soil. And even though your rights can still be usurped, you can get back to the land and soil in a way that that gives you navigation through and alongside as we take back our power and put the corporation that we created in its rightful place to work for us,
Right.
right?
Right, right.
Work
Putting them back
with
in their
us and
box.
for us
Exactly.
rather than believing that they have somehow some authority over us.
Right.
Um, if we have not committed a crime, if we are, walking in integrity, if we are being responsible citizens of the
Right.
planet.
And we're not harming another or a property.
Correct.
That's the key. It's doing no harm. And
Yeah.
so that entire other jurisdiction relies entirely upon an enormous network of statutory requirements, paper compliance,
Yes.
fees and fines and
Yes,
signing a
and an
yeah,
assumption that you have been in the wrong, and that because you are in their jurisdiction and they believe you to be in their jurisdiction, that they somehow have authority over you and can manipulate you into being able to put you into jail, into being able to fine you,
right,
into forcing you to comply with all the statutory rules and regulations and licenses and fees,
right.
right?
Yeah,
That whole muck is something that they have tricked us into. And so extracting yourself from that is the process of sovereignty in the third dimension.
right.
But you need to be grounded in a spiritual understanding of
Mhm.
why and wherefore, and the fact that it is the spirit that has created the physical.
Right.
It is the plasma, it is the collective intelligence, the people. It is we the
Mhm.
people as fractals of source, as God, right? Working with God, being inspirited. That we're did I just make that word up? That gives us our authority over the physical realm. But hopefully it's not about being over, it is about being with and working with all the beings in, on, and around the planet, in, on, and around our solar system.
Yeah.
Um,
Right. But
so th-
see
that's
that
a
other
different.
jurisdiction, they presume that we are their subjects. And truthfully, if you have not declared yourself and taken yourself out of that jurisdiction on paper, which is the only form, which is contract law, which is what they exist by, then you technically are subject to their presumptions and they are correct. And these police officers can arrest you. And so that's why it's so crucial to have recorded your declaration because that is what protects you. That does give you the standing.
Yeah.
And so again, but you're yes, you really do need to educate yourself, and it's a process.
So
But
we're recorded on land and soil like Indigenous Native American folks, but we
mhm,
don't have a specific tribal affiliation. We have an affiliation with the state that we're on.
right, the organic land and soil of our state.
Mhm. Yeah. So we hope that watching these videos empowers you a bit to take the step towards empowering yourself um, by doing the paperwork and getting yourself on land and soil, and that you have interest in investing your time and energy into the community around you and into local governance and into working together to work towards a planet where we're planetary citizens and we're citizens in on and around the planet, and we're working together for people's freedom and creativity and sovereignty with open hearts in love, right? um, and not falling victim to the divisions and the judgments and the war mentality that that jurisdiction was created about and for and to support. We're extracting ourselves from that. That is crumbling. But I also just want to take a moment to recognize right now all of the loss of lives that is happening in the Southeast, um, all of the people that are struggling. There's a lot of different stories about what's happening and why it's happening, but the fact is that it has happened in the third dimension. And so, if there is a way that we can just, take a few moments every day and just send those people as much support as possible, those people and those animals and the land, as much support as possible. Um, I think that will be really helpful. And then if we are able and we know people locally, then we can support them directly in that way to help the communities there. There's a lot of, like I said, different stories about what's happening and what's taking place there. But I think it's really critical that we hold in our mind's eye and in our hearts a sense of freedom and a sense of the possibility of healing, how quickly we can heal, how quickly the land can heal itself, and how quickly humans, Terrans, um, can heal themselves when they're not stressed out. So sending peace is really important, sending prayers of peace. And if you're able to send resources to individuals. Um, and hopefully that will heal faster than without conscious intent.
Right,
So,
absolutely.
so to have that support be conscious is really critical right now, and to not fall victim to the incoherence that's being pumped out on the airwaves and pumped out in the news. Hopefully, you're not watching a whole lot of that, and you're getting your news from alternative sources so that you can be empowered and not in a place of fear. Because that's one way that your jurisdiction and your sovereignty is usurped by keeping you in the reptilian fight and flight is not standing in sovereignty. When you recognize that you are a divine creator and that you're one with God, you're one with the creative fabric of the universe, and with every other being out there. Being connected empowers you in such a beautiful way to be able to walk forward in strength and unity. So here's to that strength and unity. Um,
Yes.
Ken's, thanks so much for going over this with me. So apparently the comments are accessible to us. I just have to look at them on my phone and not on my laptop. So please do ask us questions. We're happy to answer any questions that you may have. And regardless of what dimensional reality you're coming at us with, we're happy to answer questions that assist all of us in working together and moving forward in love and unity and sovereignty. So thank you for your time and
Thank
have a great
you.
day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.